Well, it's official. The gaming industry is neck-deep in remakes, and we're all just along for the ride. With the blown-out development time of modern AAA games, studios seem to have found an easy fallback plan. Just remake or remaster the hits. Sure, it's nice to see old favorites revived, whether it's a full-blown remake like Silent Hill 2, or Resident Evil, or remasters of classics like Tomb Raider or Legacy of Kain. But what's the point of remaking games from the last generation, like The Last of Us or Until Dawn? Those games haven't even aged enough to warrant a facelift. Welcome to the Snake Pit, where we're full of bile and venom. I'm your host, Snake Demon, and today we're taking a deep dive into the never-ending trend of game remakes and why the industry needs to pump the brakes before we end up drowning in unnecessary nostalgia. Now, don't get me wrong, remaking or remastering old games isn't inherently bad. Sometimes it's a great way to breathe new life into a franchise or introduce it to a new audience, but if all you're doing is slapping a fresh coat of paint on the graphics, what's the point? It adds nothing new. I've said it before, but focusing on graphical upgrades alone doesn't fix gameplay or storytelling issues that could be improved. And while good remakes sell, there's a hidden problem with only focusing on the hits. Once you've gone through the golden oldies, what are you left with? The dross. Take Resident Evil, for example. They've remade the best of the best. Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3, and Resident Evil 4. But now they're scraping the bottom of the barrel. What's left? Resident Evil 5, which will undoubtedly get a divisive reaction due to certain controversies, and Resident Evil 6, which was fun, but let's face it, if it hadn't been branded as a Resident Evil game, it wouldn't have faced half the criticism. Then there's Code Veronica, an obvious choice for a remake, but personally I think Operation Raccoon City is the one that needs redemption. Operation Raccoon City was a missed opportunity. Sure, it wasn't perfect, but it had the potential to be a great squad-based shooter. In a remake, they could give it the overhaul it desperately needs. They've got the Resident Evil engine, the story is there. And while the gameplay was repetitive, that's something you can fix. Imagine a John Wick-style rework where the Wolfpack becomes even more deadly with improved abilities and combat finishers. Add in new perks, new weapons, and make the bigger bioorganic weapons, or BOW, is more interactive, instead of just glorified bullet sponges. Let's talk about the archetypes too. In the original, you had stealth, demolition, tech, and scientific specialists, but they didn't add much tactically. They were more or less just skins slapped onto characters without any real purpose. A remake could make these roles matter. For example, the demolition expert could have to set charges to clear paths, and if the Wolfpack chooses the wrong route, they'd have to find an alternate way. This could introduce divergent paths in an open-world setup, giving players more choices and consequences. While the demo guy is planning the explosives, the rest of the team would need to defend him, creating real tactical gameplay instead of mindless gunfights. And here's where Resident Evil 6 could actually lend some inspiration. You could introduce a crossover with Hunk, everyone's favorite survivor, who's operating in the same area, but on his own timeline. Imagine Hunk offering support from a distance, sniping enemies or providing tactical info to the Wolfpack, making it feel like a real joint operation. It's the kind of crossover event that could make the game feel much richer and more connected to the wider Resident Evil universe. On top of that, they could add entirely new storylines for Hunk, making him a playable character in his own right, and throw in new skins and secondary perks to change up the gameplay. You could even add new archetypes to shake things up. The original game never fully utilized its classes, so giving them real tactical relevance would add depth and replayability. Diverging paths, better tactical choices, even in taking down Nemesis or the Tyrant. For example, Four Eyes using a horde of zombies to attack the Tyrant with their attractant. And real teamwork could be what saves Operation Raccoon City from being forgotten. At the end of the day, remakes are fine, but if we're going to be stuck with them, studios need to put in the effort to improve the games beyond just better graphics. And if Capcom wants to go down this route, they should focus on the games that need the redemption, not just the ones that sold well in the past. I'm Snake Demon, and this has been The Snake Pit. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell, like the video, and leave your opinions in the comments, where I won't read them.